Okay, so it's yeah, 3 minutes after. I want to make sure that we have enough time to, get into the questions. Um, so we are recording. So, everyone, just so you know that we're recording. We will have this available most likely after this webinar. Okay, so we are going to be discussing career transitions for this webinar. Um, and I am going to be the moderator. My name is Kristi Belcher. I am a software developer at Lawrence Livermore National Lab. My focus area is on high performance computing and then into the GPU programming. But my background is just completely computer science. So bachelor's in computer science, master's in computer science. So, and then, getting involved in SC. So, but yeah, so that's enough about me. What we'll do is we're going to go through some slides on each of our panelists. And then we're going to have a slide where we can just ask all kinds of crazy questions. And that's where I'm hoping we can get some audience engagement. So we will start off with Chris, and I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, I work at the lab. I'm a computer scientist or software developer, programmer, whatever, term you want to call it. Let's see, I've been in industry for something over 20 years. I lose count. It's been a while. I started at a company called Borland doing software development as an intern when I was 18, and so I'm in my 40s. So you can do the math. It's been a while. I got a bachelor's in computer science from UCSC, and I did a thesis on. So my focus was on compiler theory. My thesis, because I did an undergrad thesis, I didn't feel like getting a master's. There's plenty of work at the time, and my thesis was on distributed databases. So my professor wanted me to build a Napster competitor because he wanted to upset the record companies. Worked on software development tools, so was a programmer's programmer, if you will, for many years, building compilers and IDEs and all that kind of stuff for Borland, various companies. I had a small stint where I in the evenings and weekends, and I'd take vacation. I was a photographer for Apple, working on their Aperture program because I was a software developer and photographer, so they brought me in to consult with their software team because I could explain things, unlike most photographers. So that was a fun detour. And 2011, I started at Oracle doing similar things, working on development tools. One of the prominent things I worked on was Java, and I founded the Java packager, so that bundles up a jar file and makes it easily deployable. In 2018, I ended up going into marketing, of all funny things. So I was an engineer in marketing. What we did at Oracle, and I did at previous, other things, jobs, is I had done prototyping and doing stuff for events to build demos and things like that. But the job in marketing was to take that to the next level. So one of the first projects was building like escape rooms for, it was to entertain software developers, entertain nerds, essentially. And so it was just coming up with fun things at a conference to entice someone to want to talk to somebody instead of, sitting there with a kiosk and, talking to the sales guy and handing out stickers and asking for your email address to spam you later. So it was something to be engaging. So I built escape rooms, PCB boards that were prototype boards with, IoT hacking things. So we had little sessions on hacking stuff. We called that the code card. It was a little badge. And the one I'm most well known for is building the world's largest Raspberry Pi cluster in 2020, right around the fun times. I posted a YouTube video. It got nearly 1 million views. So that expanded my role quite a bit, and got to got to create, come up with new ideas. And so one of the next ideas was to build internet controlled Lego race cars. And that ended up, with all the research and everything there, it was going to be Ferrari at first, but it ended up turning into Oracle Red Bull Racing, which was a very expensive endeavor, to get the name Oracle on the side of the Red Bull race car. So yeah, then I ended up here at the lab doing lots of HPC and other cool things that we do here at the lab. So there's kind of a in detailed but high level synopsis of my career.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Okay, and then next we have Ali.
Hi everyone, my name is Ali Al-Sinayyid. The career that I've been through, it's all in computer science, but it's been in different places. I start in bachelor degree software engineering. I open a small business to provide basically build computers and program and develop databases. And then I got a master's degree in computer science. And then I got a PhD where I developed an algorithm, basically scheduling algorithm for cloud computing. And in one of the days I met with a representative from AT&T, and they kind of like was interested in that, and I was able to apply my algorithm there. And after that, I got you know, I have to be honest. After that, I worked with different companies. The major one was Jackson and Hewitt, the Texas company. But then AT&T, when they actually, adopted the algorithm, they gave me a good checks, good money. So I was kind of like lazy, so turned to being a professor at the university. And right now I'm doing the director of the Cybersecurity Innovation Center. Right now I'm trying to help students in their research. Right now I have 12 students, and all of them, they do research in cybersecurity. And I'm right now about to create a new program in Belcher of cybersecurity. So it's been starting from software development, then database, then algorithm, then teaching, then today cybersecurity director, and then I'm gonna be, I think because I'm building the program, so they're gonna assign me as the head of the department of Bachelor of Cybersecurity. And I don't know, maybe I will change later after I finish this. That's it. Thank you.
Cool, thanks. And next we have Suzanna.
Good morning. My transition was probably way more dramatic than everybody else's. I started in, so kind of quick overview. I've built and sold business. That's what I did. I was an entrepreneur. And then I moved into academia as I was hired as an expert for their future strength and conditioning facility for all of the athletes. So I was the head of coach for everyone, which was very unusual in the US. I was one of the few at the time. I think it was top 5 or something. And then I moved into HPC. So I'm going to kind of go from like the beginning. I moved from one country to another several times. So I finally moved to the US when I was 23. I do have a couple of bachelor's degree and I have master's degree, and not in technical fields. So my master's is in international relations and diplomacy. And my thesis was about addressing global economic and gender inequity, which is can cover in any domain, in my opinion, from HPC to whatever you name it. So everywhere we need equity for women and minority groups. So I was in Texas. My husband's a naval officer, so we travel quite a bit, but I didn't want to be stuck in that role of traveling wife of someone who's building his career. So I had to think real quick and outside of the box, what can I do and how I can take my career from place to place. So I decided instead of getting my MBA, I'm just going to go and build a business. So that's what I did. And I kind of catch that wave of when people are trying to be healthier and fitter and stuff like that. So the demographic was wonderful for that. So I've built a first strength and conditioning facility for athletes and general population. Grew really fast within 3 years. I've had several locations, and that was fun time. First 6 years that I kept myself busy and active. I sold the business and moved to the University of the Ozarks, as I mentioned, hired expert for the faculty for the university. They didn't have any kind of anything actually, so it was from scratch. And I did that. I've built the whole department from staff to coaches to training to all that, and then writing a training plan. It's one of my backgrounds, one of my degrees in health science and coaching. Also was former athlete. So I was competitive for 15 years for my former country, Uzbekistan. So I did that for another 6 years, and then COVID hit, and I'm thinking, well, face-to-face thing is not maybe not an option at some point. So I got hired by Perdue University. They actually reached out to me several occasions. I've heavily networked, and when someone saw me, because I usually come with my whole personality and culture forward, I don't hide behind a certain like business or sort of what academia is supposed to look like. I don't play that game. I just show up as me. So I did get hired at Perdue, and I start working at the Rosen Center for Advanced Computing. That's when I dove into HPC, and I did question them. I said, why do you need me here? I don't have engineering, software engineering degree or anything like that. So I think within 6 months, I realized how much they need me. They needed me more than I needed them, because they needed someone who would think outside of the box that they operated. So that's how I end up in HPC, and I learned all kinds of words. I remember taking notes in the meetings, and I would stop the meeting and ask, could you please elaborate on that? Or what does this abbreviation mean? So kind of like decoding the language. And one of the main reasons for them to bring me on board is because my networking and the way I do things, not the sort of orthodox way, I guess. And we needed to change the language. How can we make HPC more inclusive? If someone who's highly educated can't understand the abbreviation or the conversations you have, how do you present yourself to whether it's a psychology department? And because computational kind of resources, almost everyone needs them, but they don't know that that's what they need. So how do we bring more people in, and how do we obviously open up our doors for people with not technical background like me? Because when I read the description for the job, I would swipe left, or is it right? I don't remember which way is like no. And so working on that just to make the language more inclusive and change the faces of HPC and open doors for girls and women and non-traditional users. That's a quick, I can go for a long time, but we're gonna have to give space to others.
Yeah.
Hi, Ali, good to see you, my friend.
Hi, how are you? How are you, Suzanna?
Okay, so next, well, we kind of are just going to have our Q&A. But I'm realizing that it might actually be better to not have this slide up so that I can stop sharing and our faces can be bigger. Because, technical difficulties, and this is not my Zoom account, so I don't know how to control things entirely. But yeah, so yeah, I will stop sharing. I think this kind of view is a little bit better. And I can also see the chat a little bit better too, which is great. So what I'll do, I'll start off with the first question just to kind of get things, warmed up and going. But then I really want to, encourage people on the call to ask questions. So you can raise your hand. I think that is a possibility on these options here. Or you can just put a question in the chat, or you can just unmute yourself. So however you do it, don't be afraid to kind of jump in there. But like I said, I'll start off with the questions. And it's something, that each of y'all can speak to. So what motivated you to transition from one role to another, and what challenges did you face during that transition? So I guess we'll start off with Chris.
There's been, I explained a few different transitions, but it's, I always thought that it was important to do things that you're interested in. I was never really taught like do what you love. It was like go get a job. But I've always done interesting things. Like I said, I did contract photography for Apple for a while. That was just because it was an interest of mine. I didn't think that I would apply it, to my job later on. In marketing, I ended up doing lots of photography and videography, and of course the YouTube video. Well, actually, I was doing lots of YouTube videos. I ended up transitioning into doing YouTube for Oracle. So, part of that is just do things that are interesting and that you like and are interested in, and the possibilities kind of show up at some point. So for me it was do the photography, keep with my computer science background, just keep doing that and leverage all those things. But then there's possibilities, just jump on them. So I had a possibility and kind of opened the doors for doing the marketing job. It was a dream job of sorts, because I got to travel the world. I got to bring these cool inventions and creativities using emerging technologies, 3D printers, laser cutters, PCB boards, you name it, I got to do it. And then just give it everything you got. just
And then y'all can jump in as yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to leave time. Sorry.
Okay, I just didn't know if we go in order or if we just kind of go spontaneous as we feel. That's why I tend
yeah. I will let you guys fight it out for
Okay. Ali,
Yeah.
if you'd like to go next, that's totally fine.
Oh no, ma'am. Ladies first all the time.
So my transition from running a business all sort of on my own, doing everything from marketing to hiring to coaching to training to you name it, from paying people and collecting money and finance and economics and everything. So going from doing all the things into just doing that one thing, I thought it was so easy. I was like, girl, I got this. I said, you give me money to build things. I'm like, that's not hard. So I felt like transitioning from running your own business, where stakes are much higher than working for academia, who gives you this much money, and it was a pretty decent fund. So I thought that was an easy transition for me. But the challenge was I show up in South, I'm 5 feet tall, actually, if you ever see me. I'm not a tall person. So I have these, a group of white men trying to question my expertise, and they hired me to do this. And there were times when I would schedule a meeting for them to be in the space to go over certain things, and they would talk among each other. And I do remember directing their eyes on me, because I'm the person who has to answer these questions. So I'm not sure why you talking with each other. So that was a challenge, that trying to undermine me. Not even I allowed that, but the fact that I was overlooked as this the short woman who's trying to build this giant athletic facility and train all these athletes from various sports. I think that was the challenge, but my approach to these things, I don't usually, I grew up constantly fighting for my space. So this was not something new, and I wasn't surprised by it, or I wasn't confused or scared, because I've developed thick skin since I was a little girl. I was born in a small village in Azerbaijan. Then with so my ethnicity is Georgian. I grew up in Uzbekistan. So I have this like a strong, a multicultural ancestry that drive my sort of me forward. And I show up with all of that energy in the meetings and conversations. So I have that strength from my grandmas and my grandma's grandma. So Georgians were, we're not going to get into that. That's too much of a detail. But so I come with that, and I come already in the space where I know people are going to question me, especially in any kind of athletics. You know, if you sort of a head coach of all the sports, so, and you have a bunch of men running the space. I've been in spaces like that, and I did the sport that is not for girls, and I was supposed to not do that. I'm supposed to stay home and birth babies and so on and so forth. So I was always fighting this battle of just doing what I wanted to do. So that was not necessarily challenge, it was a hiccup, but it was more of for them than myself. They quickly learned that I will run that program the way I find it fit, because I am the expert in this and you hired me for that. So I had to remind them once or twice before they sort of figured out that I know what I'm doing. That was the challenge. But coming to HPC, also male dominant environment, but I found that community a bit more welcoming, and which is, I don't know, people have different experiences, so this is just mine. And I think maybe it's because my organization, I don't know. I do adore my people. I love where I work. I love the autonomy of bringing projects that I'm interested in, passionate. And one of my first things I tell people I work with, or I have any kind of collaboration or anything, I am not afraid to get fired. So my point is, I will stand up for myself, and I will trying to look after people who are just in a disadvantaged positions, or maybe I will voice their voice because they can't, or shy, and so on and so forth. So I do show up kind of wild and loud, as people would say, but to me, it's just me and the way I operate. I don't want to sort of hide that. And so transitions can be challenging, but I think someone questioned that emotional part. To me, like coming to HPC was more of a, are you sure you need me here? Because I feel like you're making a mistake because I can't help you with HPC, right? That was my initial, more like, why am I here? And I was like, have you seen my resume? And you've had interview with me. I can't do this supercomputer things, right? It was more of it was completely changing direction from what I was coming as an expert in my field into space where I had to learn. I had to go back and like put the coaching hat, and I tell myself, what would you do with an athlete who is brand new, right? How do you develop them? So I came to this like a progressive overload, that there's some, it's a terminology in strength and conditioning, or in health science, which means you take one thing and you do really well and you keep building around that. So if you have a bad movement pattern, you fix the movement pattern, solid foundation, and then you add the details. That's what I did. I actually coached myself into do better every day, and do something every day and do better every day. So it's like, that was that helped me to be able to coach other people, and then sort of coach myself in to be good at what I do now.
Okay, for me, from my side, if you ask me what motivates you to change the career, while I'm here, I was thinking, how can I put it in a very nice way? So there is three things. First is the responsibility that I have. Second, can I contribute? Third, changing your mindset. So first one, I was responsible to provide money and living expenses to a family. So it's really at that time, I have to do whatever I can in order to get salary, in order to provide this living. That's one. Second, basically, I changed my mindset. So instead of the well-known statement that, do what you love. I actually changed that. I changed it to love what you do. And in that case, you will not have any problem in career transition. Mark my word, guys. I mean, yes, do what you love. It's really nice, but it's not, sometimes you will not get it. Sometimes you will not get it. And in that case, if you will not get it and you find another job, you will feel really miserable. Oh, I really want to do this. This is not my place. This is not my location. I will not be creative. No, I don't think that's right. If you love what you do, in that case, you're going to be flexible to change your career and you're going to accept any offer from any program, any position available. So love what you do. Don't do what you love. I mean, you can, of course, but in case if you couldn't, then just love what you do. And the last thing is basically any job that I got, I will check myself. Can I contribute in this job? Can I do something? Is this job needs me? Just like what Suzanna said? She said that at the beginning, I accept the job, but I couldn't, I didn't, I thought that I cannot contribute, but eventually she did. And that's exactly what you're going to face in your life. You're going to get the offer, right? So let's face it. You finish your degree, you finish your knowledge, or you finish your skill training. And then afterward, you're going to, basically put yourself in the market. Listen, I have this knowledge and I'm ready to be hired. Now, you're going to get multiple offers. You're going to get multiple job interviews. You're going to get multiple people calling you and find out, are interested about your services. Now, sometimes I really know a lot of examples from, friends that I have, colleagues that I have. They stick with, I will do what I love. Guess what? They didn't do their payments. I mean, their bills is still not paid. They are, in loans. And just because they are thinking of, yeah, you know what? No, if it's not this job, I will not work. Good luck. Good luck to pay your payments. Good luck to pay your bills. But there's another scenario, another example, another side, and other people. What they love, what they do. They got the offers. If it's multiple offers, I'm going to get the best location, the best benefits, the best salary, the best package, and I'm going to do it. Don't put the limitations to yourself, right? And you will be surprised how much you can learn actually. Every time, just Suzanna mentioned, I mean, just every time you go there, if you love what you're doing, you're going to learn it. You're going to adapt to wherever the environment it is. I mean, you will do it. You are able to do it. And you have to trust yourself. Career transition, that's a big deal. Career transition, I'm going to feel lonely. Career transition, no, it's not. If you have this kind of like wisdom in your life that challenge is problem, we call it challenge. And instead of problem, I call it challenge. And challenge in life is healthy, meaning that I cannot imagine my life without challenge. It's going to be really boring. You're going to wake up in the morning, yeah, I have food, I have everything, and everything, I'm done. It's going to be really, really boring life. You don't like that. You like the challenge. You like to be challenged. You like to contribute. And it's really rewardable. And reason why, because at the beginning, you thought that you are thinking, this is hard for me, man. But give yourself time. Learn. And you'll be amazed. You'll shock yourself, actually. And remember, there is nothing called a bad career. When people hire you and pay you money toward your service, you are contributing to the community or contributing, in a long term, you don't know, but you are really doing something. And that's what I think that's the best you can stick with, is instead of saying, I'm going to do what I love, change it, very simple, minor change, to love what you do. And also remember, challenge is healthy. Don't be scared of it. And one of the things that I, keep hearing from students, from colleagues, that, yeah, if I move to this company, then I'm going to lose my colleagues. And no, don't think it about this way. You think about, I'm gonna gain or gonna have new people, a new circle. And you don't need to disconnect with the old people. I mean, you don't have to really. Keep connecting with them, and in that case, you will have multiple circles instead of just one. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Yeah. So we got a few audience questions.
Quick add on to what he said, that transitioning, I think when we, as young adults, will transition from place to place, from one research to another. For me, what I had to tap when I went into HPC, as I was reflecting on that, I had to tap into my strength. What I wanted to do, find my strength and then use that to build my relationship or my foundation with HPC, instead of like questioning your ability. Oh, am I going to be able to do this? More of a, here are my strengths. How can I use that to benefit my organization? And that what helped me to kind of ground myself. And my strengths are in building relationships, connecting people, building teams, and winning. So that's my strength. That's what I did for over 15 or 20 years, actually. So how can I make my Rosen Center for Advanced Computing like a world-class organization or lab or whatever place you work? And how can make my team that I work with cohesive and kind of have the same drive, or whatever the things that you kind of did with your previous jobs? Bring your strength and actually showcase your strength. People will see that. Don't question your things that you weakness. We all have them, but I think lead with strength.
Cool.
And by the way, even Chris, when he mentioned the different jobs that he's been there, you notice that every time he mentioned one job, Chris, now please correct me if I'm wrong, if I miss something, but every time you see that Chris mentioned a job, he said, I love this one, I love this one, even though that they are different. And the reason why he loved this one, because instead of he did what he loved, he loved what he did. So I think that's the reality, right, Chris?
Yeah, it comes from let's see, how do I put this? Each transition wasn't necessarily by my choice. Sometimes you're forced into it, whether it happens for many different reasons. And just because you don't take the easy route, but you also can't go, oh, I want to be whatever CEO. You work toward it, and as you work toward it, you build up these skills, and you kind of grow toward that whatever that transition is, and you leverage everything that you've developed. So that's why I always say, don't. I mean, this other question, I think, Kristi, you're going to probably ask I'll take the thunder out of your sails, is the imposter syndrome. So, I had imposter syndrome all the time. I mean, everyone does. Who doesn't? If you don't, you're a narcissist.
You're right.
So if you don't have imposter syndrome, then definitely go check that box. So how do I manage that? And that's kind of the emotional aspects. First question too is, for me, I know that they hired me for a reason. I know that so they saw something in me in the interview process, or sometimes I was recruited, and partially recruited because what I did is I put myself out there and I did things that I loved. And if you're one problem with your job, your passions becoming your job, is now they're kind of muddied the waters there. And so it kind of is it your hobby anymore? So I do say, do you want to keep those separate? When I did photography and all that for marketing, and actually when I was at Apple, doing Apple stuff, that was a passion, but it was also just on the side, and I did it in my free time, on my own time. Right now, the Pi cluster is down at UC Santa Barbara. I got Oracle to donate it there for research, and so I get to go down there every so often. In fact, this Thursday, I have like all day schedule with students. I'm going to be going down there, and they're doing research on it. There's a whole bunch of undergrad students. They're working on the Pi cluster because a lot of it was 3D printed, and when the AC goes out, things melt, it turns out. We didn't have to deal with that when I was at a conference, because we didn't run it that long. So hey, there's always these challenges, and you just take the next step, and you just kind of overcome those challenges. It's like any engineering or any problem. It doesn't matter what kind of problem is. So coming back to the, imposter syndrome, for me, I get it, and, I have had, just like anybody, you curl up in a ball and you don't want to move, that happens. Try to find a happy place, you want to exercise and do all those healthy things, eat good food and have friends and do, fun things, have work-life balance. But for me, when I get those, because I've had those moments, and I've had those moments where I've curled up in a ball for a little bit longer than I should have. I try to catch myself, and I give myself 1 minute, 1 minute to breathe, 1 minute to do something, or I go for a walk, and then I just get back to it. Because if you go curl up in a ball, no work getting done. It's not going to help anywhere. You're going to be worse off. So it's just like cleaning out your house. If you just leave the dust there, you let everything get dirty, it's going to be there, unless you can afford to hire somebody to do it all for you, which is a different challenge because then you're managing other people. So there's always these challenges, and you just overcome them, and you just give yourself a little bit of time, but you want to, have a work-life balance and try to figure out, what your direction is, but you don't know where it's going to be. It's like there's 2 commencement speeches that are, I think, the best for anyone to listen to. Steve Jobs. That was great, looking at the breadcrumbs going back. So I look at my career going back, and I never would have predicted where they are. And Jim Carrey, he had to do, if you're going to fail, you might as well fail at something that you love. So, you can't necessarily, as Ali pointed out, you can't necessarily always love what you're doing, but you can try to find all the good aspects of it, and just work as hard as you can and be useful. And then you can try and morph the job into what you kind of want. You can't force it into that, because if you force it into that, you're going to have a manager that's not going to, want you, you're not doing your job. You want to do your job and be useful. So that's it for me.
Cool. Anyone else want to take a stab at the how you can manage the emotional aspects of career change, or the imposter syndrome that undoubtedly we're going to face while we transition?
I would like to jump in on that one. What worked for me is it's very important for me to connect with people I work with on a personal level. So I find that, at least the research shows retention for any organization is when people are connected. And when I say that, it's not like, oh, I collaborate with you on a project. That's not a connection to me. It's for me to know, what do you like to eat? Do you travel? What do you do? So maybe go for a walk together instead of one-on-one in the office. Do the walk through campus, wherever you work, and have like that personal connection. And there's nothing wrong to be friends with your coworkers. I think it's totally, to me, I don't know if I can stay long in the place if I'm not friends with them. I want to like you. And we do know you get hired when people like you. You stay in the company when people like you. It's sad or not sad. I get that, but it's the truth. And what I do, even right now, I'm working on a retention plan for our organization. Finding talent is not easy, especially in academia, because we don't pay as much as industry pays, right? How do we find them? How do we keep them? How do we keep them engaged and excited? And I think that's a peer-to-peer mentor. Like what I did, we didn't have that formal kind of mentoring program. I went into people and I just found someone who I'm interested in, and I made them my mentor. Literally, I just said, I need you to be my point of contact for the place that you work for 25 years. But that's me being outgoing and unafraid. But we have people who are shy, who are not approaching other people. So that's why I started this kind of a path for retention plan in our organization. And one of the things we're going to do, actually, this is a new thing, is to have peer-to-peer mentor, which means you do not report to this person. They don't report to you. You have almost no business connection with them. It's just another colleague. And we have these structured kind of conversations. We have like a bunch of little points that they can touch base on. Go and find the person you like and you enjoy in the organization, in the company. There's got to be one. I don't believe that there's yes, there are people you may just not be best friends, but there are people who you would enjoy and like to grab a cup of coffee or lunch. That's a simple thing you can't control.
Susanna, that's your point and Chris' point. So from Chris, if I may, Chris says something very important. He said that if you always look for the jobs that you love to do in your work, then he cannot separate it what is hobby and what is work. And that's a really, really good point. You guys, you need to understand this, that if you keep looking for working and getting the money from your hobby, then where is your hobby? Right? The challenge is healthy again and again. And Susanna mentioned also that the friendship or the relationship between you and your colleagues. Again, yes, that's very important. And guess what? That's going to make your job much easier, much faster. And in West Virginia State University, I didn't have this problem with AT&T or Jackson Hewitt or even the United Nations, that when you need to do something that then probably, and it's good, then just do it, right? But in a university environment, you need to have a ton of signatures to approve it, even if it's correct. So usually that's, I do have these two features, that my classes always have high enrollment. And also, whatever projects I have, I always, try to accomplish it with a shorter time. People always ask me how. Well, just be yourself. People, just be there in person. So instead of putting this, paper or document or a form for signature, and you put it in internal mail, right? When the other person who want to sign it, he's gonna have it as a part of all the other stuff. But when you go there in person, he's gonna give you priority. And how I can go there in person if I don't have a relationship with him, or if I don't know him, or just be yourself, be a person, don't be a machine. Talk to people, have some jokes, walk with them. Your work environment is gonna be more friendly, and you're gonna love it. And that's, I'm gonna go back to again and again. Challenge is healthy, and love what you do. And how you gonna love what you do? That's one of the things that think of a hobby is a hobby. It's not a job that I can get money from. And my colleagues down there, my partners, I can be friend with them. I mean, not best of friend, of course, but you can be friend with them. Go there, talk to them, be friendly. And I believe in that case, you're gonna, there's no syndrome anymore in that case. You're just gonna be yourself.
Mm-hmm. That's
Also, recognize that you're gonna fail.
great.
Yes,
And
sir.
failure is good.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
how you learn.
Yeah.
And so I wish all of you to fail.
Exactly. Yes. Without the experience, if you define the
Except me.
experience, how much you failed. No, seriously, the experience is what I said. Okay, do you have experience? Say yes. How many times you failed? That's basically, if there is a unit that can measure the experience, is how many failures you have in your life. I think so. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have very good experience.
Well, and if you're not uncomfortable, that's part of the job transition. If you're not uncomfortable, you're sitting in a comfort zone that you're too comfortable, and you're not pushing yourself. You always have to push yourself.
Right. And then you do mediocre job too, right? Think
Right.
of that.
True.
Because you become this sort of, it's like a factory. You just push papers, for lack of better words.
Machine, yeah.
Machine, yeah. And yeah,
Right.
connection with people. And there's so many questions. I hope we can hit
Yeah,
Katie,
I
did we
wanted
answer your question? I want to make sure we covered all your emotions about this question. Katie Erasmus, am I saying your name right?
Yeah, Rasmussen.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's great. And yes, no, thank you. I appreciate all the panelists' feedback to the question about imposter syndrome, which did kind of relate to the other question in the chat about emotional aspects. So I think especially the thing about failure, remembering that failure will happen, I think that's helpful, but also all the panelists had very different, interesting sort of tidbits from their careers that is helpful to hear. So thank you.
Mhm.
What is
Cool.
the next question?
So we got a question about how we can get a mentor within HPC,
Oh.
and especially for someone who doesn't yet have like an extensive network in the area, because maybe they're transitioning from HPC from like a different background, and so now they are trying to find that mentor that can help them through that process.
Mhm.
Just jump in.
Oh, go ahead, Suzanne.
I can always add. I find myself talking too much sometimes.
I can go, or someone else can go, whatever you want. If you want to go, Susan.
If I may, in a research, so I don't think that you need to find a mentor. I think that the mentor want to find you. So instead of trying to, yes, you can of course, shoot some emails. You're gonna do your research and find out in academia, of course. And I don't know if your research is in industry or academic, because that's two different worlds. If it's industrial, that's going to be harder because they don't have kind of like publications or something. You need to really reach to a personal level and do networking. But in academia, I think it's going to be much easier, because if you go there to any university, to the field that you are working on, and try just to do a simple research about who is the professors doing the research in this topic, or try to search it, and then send them emails, and you express to them that, hey, listen, I'm working on this. I would like your mentorship. But there is some kind of like rules that nobody talking about, that it's a common sense, but sometimes if you miss it, then you will not be able to achieve your goal. In academic field, in academic world, I will say, if you shoot an email, you pick a person, you shoot him an email. So instead of just be general and broad, be specific. So instead of telling him that I want you to be my mentor and I would love your help, and especially in this topic, yes, but he will not be interested. And the reason why, because he already have a job to do. So for you, he gonna consider you a side job, something that I can help when I finish mine. But if you are being specific, so here's my first question, if I can, if you have a time we can meet, but here's my first question. In that case, if he is interested, he gonna reply right away, and you're gonna have a dedicated channel between you and him. But instead of being broad and being, let's say, I would say, just not specific, then he will not be specific too with you. Now, this is for academic. Now, for industry, that's a totally different story. Usually they don't do publication because all the copyrights and all the stuff, and the IP, which is intellectual property stuff. But now, who I just want to make sure that I will answer correctly. Now, the person who asked this question about the mentorship, are you in academia or industry?
Hi, that was me. I asked the question. I'm in academia.
All right. Okay. All right. In that case, your job is much easier. Trust me. So, so HPC, right? So, and I believe that you have a specific topic that you would like to do, correct?
I'm working on it. Yeah. Brainstorming ideas. So I come from biology. I studied coral disease in my PhD, but now I'm at HPC and I'm trying to integrate ways that we can improve the field of coral research using HPC.
Oh, that's very interesting. Do you like this job?
Yeah, I love it. So I'm working at the Texas Advanced Computing Center. I used it in my PhD, and so now being on the other side and getting to brainstorm ways to improve.
Well? Are they paying you? Oh, good. That's it,
Yeah.
man. Then all you need to do is just to do a simple research about, and you're gonna, all right, imagine yourself, you are in a mall, right? And do shopping. What are you gonna do? You're gonna search, correct? And whoever gonna, get your attention, you're gonna go there and try to ask about the price, about the features, right? Do the same thing. Go there, search for your topic, and find out who is doing the work on it. And then if you like this, his work or her work, go ahead, shoot an email. Now, your email, don't make it look like a spam because they can ignore it. Make it more like a personal level. Hi, how are you? I am doing this job and I really need your help. And I have this question. I would sincerely appreciate if you can answer me through email or we can meet. Send it and wait only for this 1 week. If it's past 1 week, that's mean he saw it and he's not interested. Then send bunch of them. Send bunch of them. Eventually, you're gonna find one person for sure positive. I can guarantee you, but it requires some research. You're gonna find one person who is really interested in your work, and he do have some time to help you. Now, give them motive. And I would like, I will be honored to have your name in my next paper. That's a good motive, correct? And I will be, I will tell my superior, my administrator, to send you a thank you letter. All these motivating anyone to be a mentorship. But if you rely on the good faith and the good stuff in people, you might not get this person fast, if you know what I mean. So don't communicate with them and don't make it like a spam, and give them some motive to work with you and you will get it.
Great, thank you.
My Kelsey approach would be slightly different than Ali's, obviously because we come from different worlds and different backgrounds. So the question to you, how to identify a mentor within HPC, but I would go even broader, how to identify a mentor, period, right? And how to improve your network if you don't have an extensive network. No one starts with extensive network, right? So one of the real kind of solutions is to attend the conferences that you're already part of. One, go further than that, like research within. You do have some network. I bet you have some people you connected with. Utilize their network into kind of improve your position in where you are. There's someone knows someone who knows someone. Right. So when I talk to people, I don't go to them and ask, what do you have for me? I end up kind of understanding who they are. And then I share who I am and what I want. And I ask, if you don't have a space for whatever, do you know someone who can connect me with someone? That's a real question that you can ask, and they can, instead of them telling you, oh, I cannot mentor you, but you're not necessarily putting them in a place where they have to give you an instant response, right? Go to the workshops and listen to people's talk. And just because someone is an expert in the field that you want to be mentored doesn't mean they're good mentors, right? That's also something you need to make sure you connect with them and you want to spend that time with them, and they need to want to spend time with you. Listen to their talks in the conferences. This conference is one of the best ways you can actually understand who they are. Watch people from the distance, go meet them, introduce yourself, and you tell them what you want. It's very important. And ask them if they could connect you with someone, because people know people. And you don't have to just rely on his or her expertise in that field. And a mentor is not just someone who can help you with your research. You want someone who will also sponsor you, right? Someone who can drive your research further when you're not in the room. And that's the key. When you have a mentor / sponsor who takes your research and talks about your research when you're not even in the room, and that's the kind of commitment you want. And then it is absolutely, I've done sort of cold emails connecting with people. I've done that and it works, and sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't. But that a personal connection, if I know Ali knows someone, Ali knows Kristi, and Kristi does the thing I want, I will reach out to Ali. It's a international affairs advice. The way we do things in the world. If I need something from Iran, and I know I might not have a good relationship with Iran, I do have a good relationship with X country, France. France has a good connection with Iran. I talk to France, I give France what they want. France gives me Iran's connection. So find people who are connected to the person that you want to be in touch. Utilize your current network to expand your network. And then attend conferences, Go to the talks that you're interested, listen to them, go introduce yourself and get the email contact from them, and make sure you say something memorable when you talk to them. It's not enough for you to just say your name, you know, and follow up, not that one time, follow up until.
Yeah, thank you very much, Susan. That's a key. Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't really have much to add. I mean, it definitely give them some motive to Ollie's point, and definitely use your network and follow up with people. Don't hound them. You know, you want to give them motive to be able to interact with you and to work with you. So, you know, it might be an email to say, hey, I have this research that's similar to yours. You know, I'm a student and here at so and so. You know, I just wanted to talk to you about your research to see how it overlaps. Not necessarily even asking them for something, but giving a reason to respond to you. That's all you want. You
Yeah.
don't want it to be spam.
I agree. Kelsey, as you were talking what you are interested, I have literally 5 people I can connect you with. Send me an email and I will put you in touch with people who I was just at SACNAS conference. And one of the I mean, needless to say, there are people in exactly what you do that are doing research in Guam and in Hawaii. And so send me a note. I will put you in touch with climate science folks who I start connecting at the SACNAS conference.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
There's
You're
one
welcome.
other thing is don't underestimate social media. Twitter, you know, as deplorable as it is nowadays, YouTube, you know, becoming, you know, an expert, do something interesting and people watch, you know, your stuff or follow you. So Instagram, pick your favorite one and just focus on a little bit on that.
So we are reaching the top of the hour, but just very quickly, maybe like, you know, final advice for anyone who's like considering a transition. There, you know, one transition is approaching, coming near, and any kind of final parting advice that we can give our attendees before we close out. So yeah.
Well, there's one single question here. They said, how do you navigate career
Navigate.
while
Yeah.
also having a spouse or partner? I don't know.
It's hard.
It's hard. I will be lying if I say yes. I know it. Because of my career and my wife's career, my wife is working in a hospital in a laboratory, so that's totally different. We don't even have a common ground to talk about. I'm computer science. She is a laboratory, like a medicine field. I'm science guy. So we just, I think that the best way to solve this is don't talk about it. Now, if my wife has a different job in a different state and I will have a different job in a different state, we're gonna put them both, and I've been there, to be honest with you. We're gonna put them both in a one paper, and we're gonna put what is the pros and cons of each job. And whoever gonna have the much weight, we're gonna go with it.
Yeah, that's great. So the way I personally navigate it, so I mean, he's in a United States Navy. That's not negotiable in terms of he can't decide where he's going to go. He is sent by U.S. government. So it's almost like we don't have a say. For me, as I mentioned earlier in my talk, I wanted to make sure that I can always think outside of this box. I don't need to be in this. If I'm in Iowa, I don't need to work in Iowa. So now because we have these remote option, obviously that I wouldn't replace my job with almost anything. I don't want to go and sit in the office. I can work from anywhere in the world. I almost never considered to change his career because that is a retirement money. So there is a financial kind of gain for him to stay in Navy, so I can freely go and do whatever I want right now. So that was like important part, like the pension and actual tangible thing in the future. So it was basically foundation for me to kind of figure out what I'm going to do with that. And then in our case, we both had to consider, like, he had to still consider my role as a professional person. And that is something comes from the foundation of relationship that you have. It's kind of hard to, I don't know people's dynamics, how they live their lives, but I needed 100% support from my spouse to do all these things. And then without, not that I asked any kind of permission. Obviously, I don't look like someone who asks permission, but I did. So he had to give some stuff. When I was working, he was the one who would pick up our child to stay home while our son was sick, so I can keep moving in my career, because Navy is way more lenient. So I wasn't the constant stay home with my kid mom, which is very typical. Women need more support when it comes down to career. Of course, we all know we have unpaid labor when we get home, and we all know we do way more work than any, like, what, 17% men do things, and then we 100% do everything home at work. So that support that we need we can drive our career forward. I would go back into like that domestic life. Do you get that support from your partner? Do he or she picks up the kid when the baby is sick? Like, who is doing those things so you can progress in your career? I think that you could crush in the professional world if you have support in the domestic side. That's as a woman, that's my question to you. If you have support from your partner to do unpaid labor that we do almost 99.9%, then you will have much easier time to transition from one role to another.
Cool. I just want to, it's 5 after, so I think we will let everyone go. This is recorded, so if we want to go back, any of the attendees here, and just kind of listen back over anything, that will be available. Check your email when that's ready. But yes, so thank you all so much for being here. It was early if you were on the West Coast, so I really appreciate it. And yeah, have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you at SC in Atlanta. If you're
everyone.
coming, so.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.